This channel here on YouTube has had lots of guises over the years, lots of different vibes. It has actually been open for a lot of years. But I have recently, I think kind of like late last year, kind of made a lot of the videos private so that I could really lean into what I wanted it to be. And even since that point, what I want from this has changed so dramatically and moved and shifted. And so I always knew creating these videos were going to be messy. And it's interesting for me right now where I'm at with this. So I have shed quite a lot of stuff over the last X number of years, whereby I was doing stuff for others. I was following blueprints maybe. I was looking at what other people were doing and I was using that to inspire how I was going to create and what I was going to create and how I was going to show up on places like YouTube. And I would move forward with that and then I would feel this massive amount of energetic resistance and it was like, I can't do it. And so I'd have to come back and I'd have to refine and I'd refine and I'd start doing it again. And again, I'd have that resistance. And so I'd have to come back at it and refine it. Refine it. And this has been a constant ongoing process, I would suggest, over the last X number of months. And when I went to Mexico, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, which was the back end of April, the start of May, I felt that there was this massive final shift that happened and I still haven't officially processed that. I think there's still work to be done there, which is why I haven't been able to talk about it so much. But from that place to where I am now, I've refined even more. And ultimately, if nobody ever came here, if nobody ever came to this YouTube channel, if nobody ever listened to anything that I had to say, it doesn't matter. Because the piece that matters is what this does for me. So the piece that matters is this is my diary. The piece that matters is me using this as a stepping stone into my day, my diary, you know? And even in the last couple of days, when I have been using it as a diary and I've been talking about what's happened, you know, I'd come in on Monday and I talked about what happened over the weekend. I came in after my holiday, I talked about what I'd felt shift during the holiday. It still wasn't quite hitting the spot for me. It still wasn't quite there. And there is a couple of different vibes that will come through in this channel. One will be the diary and the other will be the deep dive as I work through something. So yesterday I was working through that energy-led vibe behind the kind of the ripple that we're putting out there and the boundaries and the contracts that we've kind of agreed to in a space like social media. And I was kind of playing around with that because someone had opened up that energy thread, that gateway with me by commenting a little bit tongue-in-cheek on one of my shorts. And so it was a diary moment, it was a reflection, it was a deep dive into something that had been active in my aura, in my energy, in my world, in my reality that day. So have I been doing this as a diary? Yes. Has it been hitting the spot? Not quite. It's not quite been doing what I want it to do for me. And I felt that a lot this morning and I was leaning into that a lot this morning. And I was leaning into how I used to journal. So this is like how I would start my day. And sometimes the journaling part of my day would take me like an hour. And I'm so past that now. And I don't feel like that journaling is necessarily required for me to step into the frequency that I need to be on, and sitting there quietly and writing and digging into it and leaning into my energy of the day and all that kind of stuff. But it is missing from my life. It is missing from my life. And the idea of having a space where I can speak about my day, align myself, was the whole idea of doing this kind of diary thing. And I haven't been doing that. I've been after the event. And there's validity there. And of course there is. But there's this other piece that's coming through right now. Anyway, one of the pieces about this whole analysis shift movement that I'm going through right now that's interesting me is that we are in this quarter of civilization in the human design year. And we moved into this on May the 1st. And May the 1st happened when I was on holiday. And then when I came back, there has been a lot of focus on how to make my life work for me and how to bring in pieces that support my alignment to my human design, support how I work, support my superpowers, and all that kind of vibe of stuff. So it's interesting that we are in Quarter of Civilization. So I've done a little short on Quarter of Civilization, but it's all about, what am I building to support my life? What rituals do I have in place? What is the ecosystem of my day, of my week, of my month that supports my life? And we are nailing that down at the moment. That is the energy. The energy around us is nailing that down. And we can go deeper into that. We can go into the daily transits. But just right now, just knowing that we're in that season of that kind of vibe, of refining foundations, of doing all that kind of stuff, is kind of like really interesting to me, because I'm seeing it around me. And this is always something that I always say. The energy is happening and the energy is around you, whether or not you are aware of it, And because I am aware of it, I see it more. And this is what allows me to believe in this, because I know what the energy is, and I look at my life and I'm like, well, that's exactly what I'm going through right now. So because I follow it and I see it in my life, I believe in it, right? Most people don't follow it, but it happens in their life, so they don't pull the two together. So the Quarter of Civilization is really all about, refining those foundations of your life, refining the systems, the structures, the ecosystem, the blueprint, and anything that you might have in your mind, is happening. So right now, this is like a character arc. So, we've got, there are individual plot lines that are happening in our life story, but this is like a character arc. It's like who you are at the start of this quarter and who you are at the end of this quarter is, it's going to take you towards, this cycle of who you're becoming in your lifetime. Take me towards. I'm saying you, but I mean me. I mean all of us really, but I'm trying to, I'm explaining to you, it's my diary. It's my diary, right? So it's about me. So yeah. So that's really interesting to me today. So, where am I going with this? Because I am rambling on all over the place. But ultimately, the video or the recordings that I want to do need to be me riffing on where I am as I start the day. So there's going to be an element of bringing things in that might have happened the day before, because maybe I need to riff on them. And then there's going to be this focus, like I used to do when I used to journal, on the energy around me and the energy within me, so that I set shall we say, a chapter heading. I don't know how to word it. A prologue, an epilogue. I don't know. This is the energy. This is where I am. This is where I start my day. And by grounding myself and projecting that and being in that, I know then that I've started the day on the right foot, and the way that the day will unfold, I can analyze, I can use that data, I can harness it, I can work with it, I can flow with it. And it will take me where it will take me. And then the next day, I review kind of like, where did it take me? And then I lean into the energy within me, the energy around me, and I kick off the next day, and I start the next day in that energy. So let's just lean into that a little bit right now and see where we are and what's going on, because obviously the first thing is we're in the Quarter of Civilization, which I've already said is like this energy of resetting the foundations, making sure that, you know, your ecosystem of life reflects kind of who you are becoming, where you're going on this. I've got a hair somewhere. Where you're going on this specific cycle of this particular year. And let's dig into the different, what's the energy of today? Even though I'm not first thing in the morning now, but what is the energy of today? So let's do it for today. Let me see how it feels. Let me see if it feels right. Let me re-listen to this back and decide if this is my way forward. I feel like it is. I feel like I'm kind of uncovering something here, and I feel like something's being revealed to me in some way, shape or form. So let's give it a go. I'm going to give it a go over the next over this video and see where it takes me, how it feels, because that is how I make my decisions as a self-projected projector. Okay, so there was a time when I was tracking a lot of stuff. So I would wake up in the morning, I would be like, okay, what season are we in? What moon cycle, what moon phase are we in? What human design transit are in? What day are we in? So there was a lot of stuff that I was tracking. And I think because I was tracking so much, it became so difficult, and I had to kind of release it. It was just too much. And as I say, you know, my journaling did used to take me about an hour to do back in the day. So, you know, there was a lot. There was a lot that I was doing. There was a lot that was going on, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it just wasn't ideal. And over the last week or two, I've really been focused back in on human design and seeing where that takes me and using that as my guidance system, because human design seems to sit with me so much better than anything else. Don't get me wrong, you know, I understand that, you know, we're in a spring season and I know what that means, and I understand the cycle of the lunar cycle and things like that, but whenever I look into human design, not only does like my birth chart, my human design chart, just like connect straight away, and I'm just like, oh my God, yeah, that's me. Oh my God, yeah, that's me. I find the same thing happens when I match the human design transits and things to my daily life. So as I've already pointed out, you know, we moved into the Quarter of Civilization, and I can see immediately, straight away, how that has impacted me. The energy is impacting me. And so I feel like it's time to just focus in on human design and really kind of focus in on those transits, because it really just lights me up so much more than the other stuff. So, first of all, energy around us then. We're in the Quarter of Civilization. So we're in this kind of like setting these foundations, sorting out our systems, sorting out our processes, getting a really great grounding for what's to come. Okay, so I can feel that that's coming. This video is part of that. You know, there's things going on in my life where I'm looking into my daily routines. I'm looking into what supports me, what serves me. You know, where am I, you know, pedaling hard and not making progress? What, you know, where am I not feeling great? And a human design is very much about the energy, very much about the emotions. And interestingly, today we are in gate. The sun is bringing. The sun is activating gate 35. Gate 35 is the gate of change. So that's really interesting to me again today, is that we're in this energy of change, and I've been thinking about that over the last kind of couple of days. How do I, what do I want to change around how I live my life and things like that. And so it's interesting because this particular gate is linked very much into experiences and kind of like noticing where we're feeling bored, where we're feeling jaded and fed up, and where there's no real energy around something. So maybe you're living your day-to-day life and you just feel like there's no oomph. You just feel like you're just feeling like there's just no energy in it. And that lack of energy, that emptiness of that kind of like that energy is connected to the gate that we're in at the moment, and it's making us want to change it because we want passion, we want excitement, we want our life to be high vibration, so this is kind of coming through now. And so there is also, this gate is very much linked to the throat. So there's a lot about expressing this. There's a lot about sharing the kind of like the tediousness of life, sharing the boredom, and actually speaking it out and kind of expressing that and letting that come through as well. Well, look at what I'm doing. Look at what I'm doing. So that's kind of where we're at. That's the energy around us from the human design transits. The main ones. So quarter, and then the sun. The sun is kind of like driving the energy today. Now, there are other planets. There is obviously, what the moon's activating, what the North Node is activating, all that kind of stuff. And it might be once I've kind of tied this process down that I expand into some of those. But right now, I just want to focus on the quarter that we're in, which obviously becomes something that I just know about in the background. The daily transit, so the gate and the line that's influencing that. And for me, that's all I want right now. There are other things that I'm aware of that I might bring in, but just till I ease into this again, it's been a long time. Well, it's not been a long time. It's been a few months since I've really focused in on this. I'm going to focus on that. Anyway, talking about that third line. So it's activating gate 35. Point 3 is the line that's influencing it. And that influence is all about trial and error. So again, I didn't look at any of this before I started recording this video. I've recorded this video in pieces as I've gone away and looked at things. But isn't it interesting that a minute ago, further earlier on in this video, I said, we're just going to try it. We're just going to give it a go. I'm just going to record it now and I'm going to see how it feels. And then I look into it and I find out that it's trial and error. And trial and error is all about trying it on, seeing how it feels, and pivoting or deciding that it's the right way, whatever. So already we can see this energy completely showing up around me. Now, that is the first step of my morning, is working out what is the energy around me. The next step is what is the energy within me. And for me, that focuses on 4 main areas. So I will focus on my physical body. What is my physical body showing me today? What's coming up for me? Where am I hurting? Where am I aching? Maybe my digestion's not great. Maybe my eyes are itching. Maybe I've got a bit of headache. Maybe I've stubbed my toe. All that kind of stuff is giving me data. So that is like the next layer that I need to think about, is my physicality. Now, straight away, as I'm talking, I'm like, I've got a real dry mouth. Really dry mouth. I can really feel that. I've got a bit of a headache, only a slight headache, nothing major, but that's giving me data. So straight away, I'm like, okay, there's an element of dehydration going on here, right? Straight away. Mixed in with that, I know that my body is very stiff at the moment. My joints are very stiff. Again, we're talking dehydration. So by tuning into the physical symptoms that my body is showing me, it's giving me information that I can use and change, what I'm doing or what I was planning to do. So that's my physicality. I am tired. There's other stuff going on, but we'll kind of, that'll come out as I start doing my diary moments, my proper full-on ones. Okay. So That's physically. So mentally, what's going on? What am I thinking about? What's taking its toll? What am I worried about? What am I overthinking about? What is my mind doing? What is my mind having to process? Because specifically for the projector, you know, specifically for, I'm going to say a non-mental projector, because that's come through for me recently, is that, you know, we need our body to lead us. That's what human design is all about. It's about leading with the body first. The mind will screw up your life path, is what Uruhu said. However, I'm very aware that, you know, some people have mental authority, so maybe it's slightly different for them. Anyway, so you know, I don't want to lead with my mind, but I want my mind to be free to process things. So, you know, is it drained? Is it tired? Is it feeling like it's overworking? Is it over processing? What's going on? Am I taking on too much stuff? You know, quite a lot of society and life nowadays, we are just taking on so much stuff for our brains to process. We're processing what we see, you know, what comes in through our eyes gets processed in our brain, what comes in through our ears gets processed in our brain, you know, we're then, we're working on a computer or whatever, we're taking on information to do our job, we've then got a radio playing, we're taking on information, we might be watching TV, we're taking, how much information is your brain having to process, your mind, what is going on mentally? Now for me, I'm kind of okay. There is a bit too much scrolling going on right now, which is kind of, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you scroll, it is literally mind numbing. You know, if you're on TikTok and you're just flicking through, your mind literally shuts down. You know, it doesn't process anymore, or it's like there's too much stuff coming at you that it can't process anymore. Just notice it next time you're scrolling, you know. Anyway, so a bit too much scrolling going on. Obviously, I've got work going on, so day-to-day processing of work, thinking about things, thinking things through, being logical, doing that kind of stuff. But generally, my mind is okay. It's not overly tired. It's maybe tired because my physical body is tired, but it's my brain, my mind itself is okay. Emotionally, what am I feeling emotionally? Where am I on the emotional guidance scale? Am I at boredom? Am I below boredom? Because if I am, then what am I doing to lift my energy? Where am I? And just tuning into that and seeing what information that tells me is really important to me. Right now, I'm okay. I'm certainly not below boredom. But am I much higher than boredom? Contented? Yeah, probably. Positive? Yeah, I'm kind of positive. But I'm certainly not up in the higher realms of the emotional guidance scale. So that is something that I am going to focus on. And it is something that I am already focusing on. So that's the emotional kind of body. And then my other kind of like, my final one is like my energy. So how am I feeling energy wise? Life force. You know, am I buzzing? Am I full of energy? Am I overflowing with energy? Or am I feeling drained? Where's my energy going? You know, if I'm feeling drained, do I feel like there's energy flowing down a cord to somewhere that isn't supporting me, isn't serving me? Can I cut that cord? You know, do I need to just shift my frequency? Is there something in my frequency that's just pulling me down? Do I need to shift that? You know, this kind of side of things. And this is what starts my day off. And if I can get into a routine of doing this in the morning, on camera, recording myself, hearing myself, and then the next morning, reflecting a little bit more on the day that's just gone and setting up my day for the day ahead, I can really start to roll out that process, and this process that is going to support me and serve me in, you know, my evolution. And hopefully, as I go through this process, the things that I talk about, the things that I am challenged by, the data that comes at me, as I discuss it, as I talk about it, as I work my way through it, it will help you in some way, shape or form to maybe be pointed in to find your direction, to find your energetic guidance through your life too. So that's kind of where I'm at. Now, I'm off work for a couple of days, so I'm not quite sure where that's going to take me as far as recording these are concerned. I'm going to try to really focus in and do them no matter what, but I just don't know what time they're going to be. So I think that's it. This feels right. This feels good. This feels like it is going in the right direction. It's what I want to use this for. And I do trust in my human design. I do trust in my self-projected projector expressionism, that when I do this, when I talk about my experiences, when I talk about what's happening for me, that as a byproduct, you gain some insights from that. So I do trust that, and I'm happy to trust that. Rather than feeling like I have to come here and I have to teach you or guide you. I do trust that by me doing this process, you will naturally receive guidance and direction from it. And there will be other stuff that evolves from this, but I need to settle this process in first. Anyway, hope what do I hope? I hope that you find something of interest in my videos going forward, but hope you'll join me along for this journey. I don't know, I'll be here doing it anyway. So let's see what tomorrow brings.